Welcome to Kotler and Keller's Marketing Management Series, Chapter 20, Managing Mass Communications, Advertising, Sales Promotions, Events and Experiences, and Public Relations. Hey, let's get started. Learning Objectives. What steps are required in developing an advertising program? How should marketers choose advertising media and measure their effectiveness? How should sales promotion decisions be made? What are the guidelines for effective brand building events and experiences? And how can companies exploit the potential of public relations? Advertising is a cost-effective way to disseminate messages. In developing an advertising program, marketing managers must start by identifying the target market and buyer motives. Then they can make the 5 major decisions known as the 5 M's. Number 1, mission. What are our advertising objectives? Number 2, money. How much can we spend and how do we allocate our spending across media types? Number 3, message. What should the ad campaign say? Number 4, media. What media should be used? Number 5, measurement. How shall we evaluate the results? These decisions are summarized in Figure 20.1. Developing and managing an advertising program. This should include setting the advertising objectives, deciding on the advertising budget, developing the advertising campaign, choosing media, and evaluating advertising effectiveness. An advertising objective or goal is a specific communications task and achievement level to be accomplished with a specific audience in a specific period of time. We classify advertising objectives according to whether they aim to inform, persuade, remind, or reinforce. These goals correspond to stages in the hierarchy of effects model discussed in Chapter 19. Informative advertising aims to create brand awareness and knowledge of new products or new features of existing products. Consumer packaged goods companies like Colgate, General Mills, and Unilever will often focus on key product benefits. Persuasive advertising aims to create liking, preference, conviction, and purchase of a product or service. Some persuasive advertising is comparative advertising, which explicitly compares the attributes of 2 or more brands. Comparative advertising works best when it elicits cognitive and affective motivations simultaneously and when consumers are processing advertising in a detailed, analytical mode. Reminder advertising aims to stimulate repeat purchase of products and services, and reinforcement advertising aims to convince current purchasers they made the right choice. Although advertising is treated as a current expense, part of it is really an investment in building brand equity and customer loyalty. Here are 5 specific factors to consider when setting the advertising budget. Number 1, stage in the product life cycle. New products typically merit large advertising budgets to build awareness and gain consumer trial. Number 2, market share and consumer base. High market share brands usually require less advertising expenditure as a percentage of sales to maintain share. Number 3, competition and clutter. In a market with a large number of competitors and high advertising spending, a brand must advertise more heavily to be heard. Number 4, advertising frequency. The number of repetitions needed to put the brand's message across to consumers has an obvious impact on the advertising budget. And number 5, product substitutability. Brands in less differentiated or commodity-like product classes require heavy advertising to establish a unique image. The predominant response function for advertising is often concave but can be S-shaped. When it is S-shaped, some positive amount of advertising is necessary to generate any sales impact, but sales increases eventually flatten out. Advertisers are always seeking the big idea that connects with consumers rationally and emotionally, distinguishes the brand from competitors, and is broad and flexible enough to translate to different media, markets, and time periods. A good ad normally focuses on one or two core selling propositions. As part of refining the brand positioning, the advertiser should conduct market research to determine which appeal works best with its target audience and then prepare a creative brief, which is typically 1 or 2 pages. This is an elaboration of the positioning strategy. How many ad themes should the advertiser create before choosing one? The more themes that are explored, the higher the probability of finding an excellent one. Fortunately, an ad agency's creative department can inexpensively compose many alternatives in a very short time by drawing still and video images from computer files. The ad's impact depends not only on what it says, but often more important, how it says it. Creative execution can be decisive. Every advertising medium has advantages and disadvantages. Here we briefly look at television, print, and radio advertising media. Television is acknowledged as the most powerful advertising medium, and it reaches a broad spectrum of customers at a low cost per exposure. Properly designed and executed TV ads can still be a powerful marketing tool that improves brand equity, sales, and profits. In the highly competitive insurance category, advertising can help a brand to stand out. Researchers report that the picture, headline, and copy in print ads matter in that order. The picture must draw attention. The headline must reinforce the picture and lead the person to read the copy. The copy must be engaging and the brand's name prominent. In judging the effectiveness of a print ad, marketers should be able to answer yes to these questions about its execution. Is the message clear at a glance? Is the benefit in the headline? Does the illustration support the headline? Does the first line of the copy support or explain the headline and illustration? Is the ad easy to read and follow? Is the product easily identified? And is the brand or sponsor clearly identified? Radio is a pervasive medium. Radio ads occur in a car and out of the home. The main advantage is flexibility. Ads are relatively inexpensive. Ads can be scheduled to air quickly. Radio ads are effective when they're run in the morning. Radio ads can be extremely creative, and they tap into the listener's imagination. 93% of all U.S. citizens aged 12 and older listen daily and for about 20 hours a week on average, numbers that have held steady in recent years. As far as the legal and social issues, advertisers must not make false claims, they must not use false demonstrations, they must not create ads with the capacity to deceive, and they must avoid bait-and-switch advertising. Media selection is finding the most cost-effective media to deliver the desired number and type of exposures to the target audience. The advertiser seeks a specified advertising objective and response from the target audience. Let's say, for example, a target level of product trial. This level depends on many different things, including the level of brand awareness. Suppose the rate of the product trial increases at a diminishing rate with the level of audience awareness, as this is shown in figure 20.2a. If the advertiser seeks out a product trial rate of T, it will be necessary to achieve a brand awareness level of A. The next task is to find out how many exposures, E, will produce a level of audience awareness of A. The effect of exposures on audience awareness depends on the exposure's reach, frequency, and impact. Reach, the number of different persons or households exposed to a particular media schedule at least once during a specified time period. The frequency, the number of times within the specified time period that an average person or household is exposed to the message. Impact, the qualitative value of an exposure through a given medium. Like, for instance, a food ad should have a higher impact in Bon Appetit than in Fortune magazine. Figure 20.2b shows the relationship between audience awareness and reach. Audience awareness will be greater the higher the exposure's reach, frequency, and impact. There are important trade-offs. Suppose a planner has an advertising budget of $1 million, and the cost per thousand exposures of average quality is $5. The math on this means 200 million exposures, which would be $1 million divided by $5 over 1,000. If the advertiser seeks an average exposure frequency of 10, it can reach 20 million people, which the math would be 200 million divided by 10 with a given budget. But if the advertiser wants higher quality media costing $10 per thousand exposures, it will be able to reach only 10 million people unless it is willing to lower the desired exposure frequency. The relationship between reach, frequency, and impact is captured in the following concepts. Total number of exposures, E. This is the reach times the average frequency. That is, E equals R times F, also called the gross rating points, which has an acronym of GRP. Weighted number of exposures, or the acronym WE. This is the reach times average frequency times average impact, so WE will equal R times F times I. Reach is most important when launching new products, flanker brands, extensions of well-known brands, and infrequently purchased brands, or when going after an undefined target market. Frequency is most important where there are strong competitors, a complex story to tell, high consumer resistance, or a frequent purchase cycle. The media planner must know the capacity of the major advertising media types to deliver reach, frequency, and impact. The major advertising media, along with their costs, advantages, and limitations, is profiled in Table 20.1. Place advertising, or out-of-home advertising, is a broad category that includes many creative and unexpected forms to grab that consumer's attention wherever they work, play, or shop. Popular options include billboards, public spaces, product placement, and even point of purchase. Billboards use colorful, digitally produced graphics, backlighting, sounds, movement, and unusual images, sometimes even 3D. Public spaces. Ads are appearing in such unconventional places as movie screens, airplane bodies, and fitness, as well as in classrooms, sports arenas, offices, and hotel elevators and other public places. Product placement. Marketers pay $100,000 to $500,000 just so their products can make cameo appearances in movies and on TV. There are many ways to communicate at the point of purchase, including ads on shopping carts, cart straps, aisles and shelves, and in-store demos. Also live sampling and instant coupon machines. Non-traditional media can often reach a very precise and captive audience in a cost-effective way, with ads anywhere consumers have even just a few seconds to notice them. The message has to be simple and direct. Outdoor advertising is often called the 15-second sell. It's more effective at enhancing brand awareness or brand image than at creating new brand associations. Media planners are using more sophisticated measures of effectiveness and employing them in mathematical models to arrive at the best media mix. In choosing media, the advertiser makes both a macro scheduling and a micro scheduling decision. Macro scheduling decisions relate to seasons in the business cycle. Suppose 70% of your product sales actually occur between June and September. The firm can vary its advertising expenditures to follow the seasonal pattern, to oppose the seasonal pattern, or be constant throughout the year. The micro-scheduling decision calls for allocating advertising expenditures within a short period to obtain maximum impact. The chosen pattern should meet the marketer's communications objectives and consider three things. Buyer turnover expresses the rate at which new buyers enter the market, and the higher the rate, the more continuous the advertising should be. Purchase frequency is the number of times the average buyer buys the product during that period. The higher the purchase frequency, the more continuous the advertising should be. The forgetting rate is the rate at which the buyer forgets about your brand. The higher that rate, the more continuous the advertising should probably be. In launching a new product, the advertiser must choose among continuity, concentration, flighting, and pulsing. Continuity means exposures appear evenly throughout a given period. Usually, advertisers use continuous advertising to expand markets with frequently purchased items and in tightly defined buyer categories. Concentration calls for spending all the advertising dollars in a single period. This makes sense for products with one selling season or holiday. Flighting calls for advertising during a period, followed by a period with no advertising, followed by a second period of advertising activity. That's a lot there. Pulsing is continuous advertising at low levels, reinforced periodically by waves of heavier activity. It draws on the strengths of continuous advertising and flights to create a compromise scheduling strategy. Most advertisers try to measure the communication effect of an ad, that is, its impact on awareness, knowledge, or preference. They would also like to measure its sales effect. Communication effect research, called copy testing, seeks to determine whether an ad is communicating effectively. Marketers should perform this test both before an ad is put into media and after it's printed or broadcast. The sales impact is easiest to measure in direct marketing situations and hardest in brand or corporate image building advertising. Companies want to know whether they are overspending or underspending. One way to answer this question is to work with the formulation shown in Figure 20.4. Researchers can measure sales impact with the historical approach, which uses advanced statistical techniques to correlate past sales to past advertising expenditures. Whereas advertising offers a reason to buy, sales promotion offers an incentive. Some sales promotion tools are consumer franchise building. They impart a selling message along with the deal, such as free samples, frequency awards, coupons with a selling message, and premiums that are related directly to the product. Sales promotion objectives derive from communication objectives, which derive from basic marketing objectives for the product. For consumers, objectives include encouraging more frequent purchases or purchase of larger size units among users, building trial among non-users, and attracting switchers away from competitors' brands. For retailers, objectives include persuading retailers to carry new items and more inventory, encouraging off-season buying, encouraging stocking of unrelated or related items, offsetting competitive promotions, building brand loyalty, and gaining entry into new retail outlets. For the sales force, objectives of promotion include encouraging their support of a new product or model, encouraging more prospecting, and stimulating off-season sales. The promotion planner should take into account the type of market, sales promotion objectives, competitive conditions, and each tool's cost effectiveness. The main consumer promotion tools are actually summarized in this table, Table 20.3. Manufacturer promotions in the auto industry, for example, are rebates, gifts to motivate test drives and purchases, and high-value trade-in credit. Retailer promotions include price cuts, feature advertising, retailer coupons, and retailer contests or premiums. Manufacturers use a number of trade promotion tools, as shown here in Table 20.4. They award money to the trade to persuade the retailer or wholesaler to carry the brand, to persuade the retailer or wholesaler to carry more units than the normal amount, to induce retailers to promote the brand by featuring, display, and price reductions, and to stimulate retailers and their sales clerks to push the product. Manufacturers often find it really difficult to police retailers to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, and increasingly insist on proof of performance before they pay any allowances. Some retailers are doing forward buying, that is, buying a greater quantity during the deal period that they know they can sell really fast. Some retailers are diverting, buying more than needed in a region where the manufacturer offers a deal and shipping the surplus to their stores in non-deal regions. Manufacturers handle forward buying and diverting by limiting the amount they will sell at a discount or by producing and delivering less than the full order in an effort to smooth production. Companies spend billions of dollars on business and Salesforce promotional tools, as seen here in figure 20.5, to gather leads, impress and reward customers, and motivate the sales force. They typically develop budgets for tools that remain pretty constant from year to year. In deciding to use a particular incentive, marketers must first determine its size. A certain minimum discount is necessary if the promotion is to succeed. Second, the marketing manager must establish conditions for participation. Incentives for this might be offered to everyone or just to select groups. Third, the marketer has to decide on the duration of the promotion. Next, the marketer must choose a distribution vehicle. A 50 cents off coupon can be distributed in the product package, in stores, or by mail, online, or even in advertising. Next, the marketing manager must establish the timing of promotion, and then finally, the total sales promotion budget. The cost of a particular promotion consists of the administrative costs, which include printing, mailing, and promoting the deal, and the incentive costs, which is the cost of premium or cents off, including redemption costs, multiplied by the expected number of units sold. The cost of a coupon deal recognizes that only a fraction of the consumers will actually redeem those coupons. Marketing managers' implementation and control plans must cover lead time and sell-in time for each individual promotion. Lead time is the time necessary to prepare the program prior to launching it. Sell-in time begins with the promotional launch and ends when approximately 95% of the deal merchandise is in the hands of consumers. Manufacturers can evaluate the program using sales data, consumer surveys, and also experiments. Marketers report a number of reasons to sponsor events which are listed on this slide. And they can include to identify with the target market or lifestyle, to increase salience of a company or product name, to reinforce key brand image associations, to enhance corporate image, to create experiences and evoke feelings, to express commitment to the community or on social issues, to entertain key clients or reward employees, and to permit merchandising or promotional opportunities. Making scholarships successful requires choosing the appropriate events, designing the optimal sponsorship program, and measuring the effects of a sponsorship. Choosing events. Because of the number of sponsorship opportunities and their huge cost, many marketers are becoming more selective. The event must meet the marketing objectives and communication strategy that's defined by the brand. Designing sponsorship programs. Many marketers believe the marketing program accompanying an event sponsorship ultimately determines its success. At least 2 to 3 times the amount of the sponsorship expenditure should be spent on related marketing activities. And finally, measuring those activities. It's a challenge really to measure the success of events. Supply-side methods for measuring an event's success assess the media coverage, for example, the number of seconds a brand is visible on a TV screen, or the column inches of press clippings that mention it. It's a challenge to measure the success of events. Marketing Memo, measuring high-performance sponsorship programs, offers some guidelines for industry experts. These include measure outcomes, not outputs. Define benchmark objectives on the front end. Measure your return for each objective. Measure the behavior. Apply assumptions, ratios used by other departments. Measure the results of emotional connections. Identify group norms. Include cost savings in ROI calculations. Slice the data and capture normative data. A large part of local grassroots marketing is experiential marketing, which not only communicates features and benefits, but also connects a product or service with unique and interesting experiences. The idea is not to sell something, but to determine how a brand can enrich a customer's life. Many firms are creating their own events and experiences to create consumer and media interest and involvement. A public is any group that has an actual or potential interest in or impact on a company's ability to achieve its objectives. PR includes a variety of programs to promote or protect a company's image or individual products. The best PR departments counsel top management to adopt positive programs and eliminate questionable practices so that negative publicity doesn't arise. They perform the following 5 functions. PR, presenting news and information about the organization in the most positive light. Product publicity, sponsoring efforts to publicize specific products. Corporate communications, promoting understanding of the organization through internal and external communications. Lobbying, dealing with legislators and government officials to promote or defeat legislation and regulation. And counseling, advising management about public issues as well as company positions and image during both good times and bad times. Many companies are turning to marketing public relations, or MPR, to support corporate or product promotion and image making. MPR, like financial PR and community PR, serves a special constituency, the marketing department. The old name for MPR was publicity, the task of securing editorial space as opposed to paid space in print and broadcast media to promote or hype a product, service, idea, place, person, or organization. Launching new products. The amazing one-time commercial success of toys such as Leapfrog, Beanie Babies, and Silly Bands owes a great deal to strong publicity. Repositioning mature products. In a classic PR case study, New York City had very bad press in the 1970s until the I Love New York campaign. Building interest in a product category. Companies and trade associations have used MPR to rebuild interest in declining communities such as eggs, milk, beef, and potatoes, and to expand consumption of products like tea, pork, and orange juice. Influencing specific target groups. McDonald's sponsors neighborhood events in Latino and African American communities to build goodwill. Defending products that have encountered public problems. PR pros must be adept at managing crises, such as those weathered by such brands as Tylenol, Toyota, and BP in recent years. Building the corporate image in a way that reflects favorability on its products. The late Steve Jobs heavily anticipated Macworld keynote speeches to help create an innovative, iconoclastic image for the Apple Corporation. In considering when and how to use MPR, management must establish the marketing objectives, choose the PR messages and vehicles, implement the plan, and evaluate the results. Establishing objectives. MPR can build a redo. Establishing objectives. MPR can build awareness by placing stories in the media to bring attention to a product, a service, a person, an organization, or an idea. It can build credibility by communicating the message in an editorial context. Choosing messages and vehicles. The MPR practitioner will search for stories. Each event and activity is an opportunity to develop a multitude of stories that are directed at different audiences. Implementing the plan. MPR's contribution to the bottom line is difficult to measure because MPR is used along with other promotional tools. The easiest gauge of its effectiveness is the number of exposures carried by the media, which is often defined as evaluating the results. The main tools of MPR are described in Table 20.6. They include publications, events, sponsorships, news, speeches, public service activities, and identity media. Hey, thanks for watching. Please check out the other videos in this marketing management series.